In a world filled with uncertainty, we are all trying to get physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy. But the struggle is real. The LiveWell Podcast exists to give you fun, relevant, and impactful strategies that will help you get healthy, stay healthy, and live well. Hosted by Dr. Mike Roncesvalles, a clinical psychologist with 2 decades of experience in the field, and his LiveWell crew. We promise the time you spend listening to the LiveWell Podcast will help you thrive like you never have before. And welcome to our weekly LiveWell Podcast. We're so excited to have you guys listening or viewing in today. We have such a cool topic for you guys. In honor of daylight savings, we are going to be talking about the construct and concept of time and kind of how we kind of brush against it, but really what we need to do is probably something different in order to feel
shake hands with it.
Yeah, we have to shake hands with time.
Become friends.
Which seems counterintuitive because daylight savings brings us so much anxiety. So, we're excited to talk to you guys about that today. We've got Trevor.
Yes, glad to be here with you today, Alana.
Woohoo!
And Megan.
Hi, I'm here.
And
I made it. I'm happy to. I was on time.
That's right. That's right. 1 hour less of
I
sleep,
mean,
but we're here.
Yeah.
We've got Jacob behind the scenes.
How's it going?
What up?
And I'm Alana. It's nice to be with you guys today.
It's gonna be awesome. Looking forward to this one.
Yes.
So, daylight savings brings about tension, anxiety.
At least in the spring it does.
Right.
Right?
I will say that I love daylight savings time because there's more sunlight. There's you can do things more, but then it takes away from your sleeping. And I personally I was just telling her last night that I get a lot of anxiety around time. I have pretty much my whole life. It's caused me a lot of issues, but I have had 2 anxiety attacks on daylight savings time day, whatever, in various different years, all surrounding asking someone what time it was or realizing what time it was and that it was an hour ahead of what I thought. And I just went into total panic mode and couldn't breathe and was hyperventilating and had to curl into a ball. And I was a hot mess.
The struggle is real.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just because of an hour. So it's a real thing.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're not the only one that experiences, that level of anxiety with time change. I mean, when you think about time change, I think there's 2 parts of time change that brings anxiety. There's time and then there's change.
That's right.
Yeah.
So double whammy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My anxiety comes from the times that I forget that daylight savings happened. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you wake up the next morning and then you're like, oh no, I forgot. Right?
Yeah.
And then you're scrambling.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
And then you have to actually change all the clocks, right?
I mean,
I'll tell, for example, my watch, it still says 11:35.
And it's 12:35.
And it's 12:35.
Yeah.
okay,
Gotcha.
so we need to fix that.
Yeah.
I like that there's a button in my car that you just press and it's daylight savings time. So I just press that and it changes, which is easy. The oven one is annoying. I never touch the microwave. This is great because it does it on its own.
Your phone does.
Your phones do, and the computers should. And then this, I'll give you guys a little secret. I got this from a very dear friend.
That's your watch.
It is not my watch.
Oh.
For those of you watching and viewing, it does not tell time. But what it reminds me to do is to be present. So it looks like a watch. You can put essential oils in it to help calm you down in times of, anxiousness. And then I smell it and I remember to get grounded and be present with time and people instead of
That's awesome.
hustling and hurrying and not paying attention.
And everyone in Publix is looking at her like, why is she sniffing her watch?
Did she put a scratch and sniff on there? Do you guys remember scratch and
those were
sniff?
I miss those.
So the dear friend that got this for me for my birthday was this one right
Aw.
here. Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
thank you. I
You're
just thought you
so
might love
welcome.
that because I literally
do.
I wear it as a watch, but it
Yeah.
reminds me to be present instead of rushing around and being concerned with
That's
time.
awesome.
And I'm so glad that you love it.
I do.
And I think that what I want to share with you guys is something that Erica Spiegelman wrote in one of her books. She's an author and she writes about recovery and things like that. And in one of her books called Rewired, here's what it looks like. There is a chapter that each chapter is about specific life skills and ways that we can apply that to our lives. It's just such a great guiding tool, I think, for anyone, not just people in early recovery. But anyway, I want to share a tidbit about what she wrote about time on her chapter that resonated with Megan last night. So,
Chapter 5. Time management.
so it says, for most of us, time is an enemy, a constant obstacle to our serenity. We live at odds with time, always either running out of it or trying and failing to manipulate it. We may even choose to ignore it completely. So, my question for you guys is, in what ways do you guys resonate with that?
Can you read it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For most of us, time is an enemy, a constant obstacle to our serenity. We live at odds with time, always either running out of it or trying and failing to manipulate it.
I think personally, there's just, at this point in my life, there's a lot of things I want to do. I'm kind of figuring out like my career path and like exactly where I want to go. And I want to try a bunch of different things at the same time. And it just doesn't always work out because I feel like I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So trying to find that a way to prioritize that and find balance where you live like a happy life, but also like work-life balance.
yeah.
It's hard to do.
That's good. Yeah, I think one of the things for me, so I'm like an Uber optimist. And so when I put my schedule together every day, it's like I'm optimistic that I can accomplish these 10 things in the day, right? And when I get to the end of the day, I've only done 2 of them, right? And that probably was practical. It was probably even realistic. Like I knew that I could only get to those 2, but I wanted to do 10.
Right.
And that's just the tension I feel.
Yeah.
Right? There's this like, there weren't enough hours in the day.
Right.
Right.
Oh gosh, if I had $1 for every time even I said that or
Yeah.
I heard that. And it's just like, sometimes you have to like really take a step back and think like, what is that mentality doing to us? Yeah. The whole idea of there aren't enough hours in the day.
I mean, it puts me in straight panic mode, so I can just tell you that for sure.
It definitely.
I just go from here to here in like 2 seconds when time's involved. I have been chronically late for things since I was born. I was born 2 weeks late. And I'm not. This is a true story. This is a true story,
by
and
the way.
this may have been where my trauma started in my life. But I was born 2 weeks late, and then I was just cruising on out, and then all of a sudden, the umbilical cord is wrapped around my neck, right? So it becomes a total emergency, and it has to be done quickly. And then they have to cut me out and do a cesarean birth instead of normal. So what was slow and easygoing and more like me became very rushed, very 911-ish,
Pretty
very
dramatic.
quickly.
Yeah.
And
But
you
I am
remember
here.
it like it was yesterday.
I do.
Yeah, right.
And I haven't been on time to anything since.
Wow.
So
True story.
that is my thing with time.
And so, if you're listening or viewing, we do have, and if you can resonate with Megan, and you have some early childhood trauma that
Very early on.
that caused some procrastination in life,
Is this where we give the plug for what we do?
we have resources for
That's
you.
right.
Here at LiveWell Behavioral Health, we do have resources for that, and we're
right.
definitely gonna plug that in for you guys in just a second. Megan, thank you for sharing
Yeah.
You're so welcome.
your story.
Sorry,
Alana,
Mom.
how about
I hope
you?
you're
You
okay
haven't
today.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, Mom.
Thanks for giving birth to me.
Gosh, the whole sentence of time is an enemy, a constant obstacle to our serenity. I feel like I live and breathe that, and that causes me major imbalance. I mean, if I'm being totally transparent, we do live at odds with time, but so does everyone around us. Like our whole culture, this whole community, this entire, I mean, at least in the US that I could think of, like we do culturally live at odds with time. We're always trying to rush to wherever the destination is and not focused on how we're getting there or where we're currently at. And so when we're living at odds with time, rarely do we exist in the present moment.
Right.
You all need one of these. we all need one of these. Now you guys all know what you're getting for gifts this year.
That's right. We're getting one of Megan's watches.
Her essential oil watch.
And the correct time I think we should all be on is island time, where nothing matters and you can just be late early. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's right. In fact, if you don't know, the LiveWell office here in US 1 in Melbourne is literally looking at an island.
Yes. That is the barrier island over there of Indian Atlantic. South of that is Melbourne Beach. North of that is Indian Harbor Beach.
I love that idea. Island time.
We are on island time mostly.
And we try to share that, instill that culture in our clients and our people because, you know, I think that when I mean, even just in the clinical office, when I have people come in and people are struggling with anxiety, all the different kinds of anxiety, right? Usually it's one of the most common denominators, not that every client is exactly the same, but one of the most common denominators is this struggle with being in the right here, right now, present moment. And Erica Spiegelman says that living in harmony with time is just not in our repertoire. It's just not.
Right.
So, like, what impact does that concept have on us, and what are you guys doing about it, if anything?
I think I was talking with a friend yesterday, 2 days ago, and it was about faith, but he was reading this book, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was about how one of the biggest roadblocks to faith or just peace in general is hurry. And that is huge in today's culture. We're just like, go, go, go. Let's go move on to the next thing. It isn't where they're at right now and just living the life they're living.
You know, there is, I think, the idea and concept in our culture that says that we have to equate self-worth and success with productivity. Right. Like, Trevor, you were just talking about your 10 things on your schedule. So, like, what happens when you only get 2 done? How do you feel about yourself, you know?
Yeah, right. You feel like you could have done more, or you beat up yourself for why you should have done more? Yeah. And, I mean, what you're probably not paying attention to is how well you did the 2 things that you did, right? Because you probably killed it, knowing you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I don't know about that.
I do. It's funny because there's a song by Alabama, which you may or may not know, Jacob. It's a country song. It's called I'm in a Hurry. And the lyrics are, I'm in a hurry to get things done. I rush and rush until that's no fun. All we ever have to do is live and die. I'm in a hurry and don't know why.
Yep.
And I love that song. Yes.
See, Jacob,
I would have sang it, but I'm not really in a singing mood today. So
Copyright.
yeah.
I can't sing it.
I didn't want to. Anyway. But no, they sing it very beautifully. I don't know how I would have sounded. But it's such it like strikes a chord every time you hear it. It's a reminder that what are we in such a rush about?
Right.
Like, really, is speeding and zipping through traffic and being reckless, you know, is it going to get you anywhere
like
a minute faster? Right. Like, are you really going to beat all these people in traffic to that stoplight? Okay, great. Because you're just going to stop right there with them. Like, it's
so,
I just,
you know, so my boyfriend, Jordan, he,
Hey, Jordan.
he's a very, like, calm, cool cucumber type of guy. And I'm a very, like sometimes high energy, high strung, like, and we balance each other out. I think that's one of the main reasons why we work. But usually, and I do a lot of driving, and usually I'm just like, I'm gripping the steering wheel and like, I'm like trying to get to where I'm going because I'm always late. Always late to everything.
Right.
I'm Caribbean, like with the joke is we run on Caribbean time, right? Because there's no rush to get anywhere. But like, I naturally run late to things. So I like grip this steering wheel and, sometimes I like step on the gas a little harder. And sometimes I'm on the phone with Jordan and he's like, I hear you speeding. He's like, you understand that if you speed if you go from 65 miles an hour to 80 and you're going above the speed limit, you're only going to get here 2 minutes quicker.
And you're probably going to get pulled over.
Exactly. Right. Or worse.
Or worse.
Get an accident.
In an accident or hurting someone. And I mean, thanks to him, like that really makes me take a step back and sometimes it's just like, breathe. Yeah. Release the grip too tight. Like it's okay. It's the world is not going to end if you're 2 minutes behind or 2 minutes late, because there are 24 hours in a day. And I mean, Erica Spiegelman, she writes something I think that's so cool. She says, there's 24 hours in a day, 168 hours in a week, and we get to choose what we do with every single one of those hours and how we manage it.
Except for when we're sleeping. I think our mind creates what happens there. Dreams and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Might be a whole other podcast for that one. Yeah, that's good.
So
we'll talk about that another time.
On our next podcast, we're going to talk about sleep hygiene.
Well,
when you were talking about speeding, it reminded me as we were kind of preparing for this, and in fact, just talked about a little bit earlier, this idea of how we kind of, like if time was a system, we try to cheat the system, right?
Yeah.
Or we try to get every last little inch out of it, or we try to compete against it, all of those things. And so speeding is a great example of that, right? If you know it's going to take 30 minutes to get from here to there, but you can make it in 27, right? To buy back those extra 3 minutes.
Yeah.
This morning I saw a commercial. We see them all the time. It was some product that was age defying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
absolutely.
Right.
She talks about that in here.
Yeah. So it's, you're cheating.
Right.
You're cheating time. It's age defying, right? I heard a study not long ago about multitasking. And that multitasking actually physiologically
is
impossible, right?
Yeah, I've read that.
Right.
Yeah.
They do it
no
on that
such thing
one show.
is multitasking.
No.
Right? Yeah. So it's called switch tasking. And so the idea of it is you quickly switch tasks in your brain and you can develop patterns to get better at it, but you're never actually really focusing your attention on two things at the same time.
Right.
It's physically, neurologically impossible.
I was in a therapy session and I was talking and she had me trace a mandala and my energy level went from like neurotic and anxious and like heightened to just completely calm. And she explained that same thing to me, that I can't have those emotions and concentrate on tracing the mandala at the same time.
At the same time. Yeah. Somehow we develop these skills we even pride ourselves on. I'm an amazing multitasker.
But you're not.
And I'm going to get these three things done all at the same time to save myself time.
It's like the highlight on your resume.
Later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's safe to say that working against time is not working for us. It's not sustainable.
No.
Right? Like I think if we really take a step back and look at the big picture, even if it takes days like daylight savings time to reflect on that, or even if, we're just setting the intention for you guys by even having this discussion today, if you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, you can see how working against time is unsustainable for you.
Right.
And so what we do with that is really the opposite. Like I was saying before, it's that we have to actually learn to respect time and live in harmony with time and with time's natural rhythms.
I was just watching the sun and looking at the shadow and thinking of the naturalness of the sun telling time and like just people's heartbeats, how that freaks me out. But ticking clocks.
Good to know.
Ticking clocks freak me out. But there are natural rhythms of time, and I was just staring at that line shadow thinking about how they used to tell time back in the day.
Yeah.
Sundials, yeah.
Right.
And then the waves or just anything really. Birds chirping in the morning. Like that's a natural rhythm of time.
Right.
Yeah. What's the nightingale bird, I think, that they sing a song at a certain hour of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Amazing.
It's very grounding, too, to think about time in a natural way rather than a ticking clock.
Right.
So I'll pose this question for you guys.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you can live in harmony with time and time's natural rhythms? What comes to mind?
The first thing that came to mind before you said natural rhythms, which is how to be in harmony with time, is and I think a lot of us, we talk about wasting time. And to somehow and to somehow embrace that.
Yeah.
That wasting time isn't wasted
Not,
time.
right.
In the true sense. So again, this tension of be busy, and then this anxiety over we lost time. Well, you never really lose time.
Right.
Or you've
because
wasted
it's a concept.
time.
Yeah.
Right. And there are absolutely times that you need to waste.
Right.
Right?
And rest.
So how to build those, so this natural rhythm, this idea of how do you naturally intentionally build in times of waste.
Right.
Yeah. And when you say time wasted, I just think about maybe not, because everything that's done throughout the span of your life, there is a lesson to be learned or joy to be found, even in despair sometimes. Like there's something that lights that up. So even looking back through the history of time itself, there's something to be said for those moments that were had.
I love that you guys said that, because the concept of doing nothing repulses our society.
Yeah.
Whereas in the
except for me.
and I want
right.
you to talk about that in a second, because Megan's our certified yoga instructor.
That's right.
She's
But doing nothing is something.
Doing nothing. Not only is it something, but it is. It's probably one of the best things you can do for yourself, especially if you struggle with anxiety. Again, it seems so counterintuitive because that's just not what's happening around us. But I think if we're really intentional about respecting the rhythm of time and time's natural rhythms, we can actually combat anxiety.
That's right.
It's cool to think about.
Yeah. It does remind me of all things in moderation.
Yeah.
Right, because the other can be true as well.
Yeah.
When you've literally sort of done nothing.
Right. Like all day.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just that, it's the balance, right?
Yes.
All things in moderation.
And so here, I think, is a good time to implement real life strategies that our viewers and listeners can take with them. So if you're listening or watching today, one of the things that I want to share with you guys is a tool that you can take with you on how to live in harmony with time. And it's kind of what you were saying, and it has to do with recapturing time. So here's what Erica Spiegelman says about it. Perhaps the best way to begin healing our relationship with time is to begin thinking about our natural rhythms. From the 4 seasons to the moon's phases to our own heartbeats, there's an underlying pulse to life on Earth that is both comforting and beautiful.
Yes.
And so the revolutions of the planets and the motion of the waves encircle us like a cosmic balance. In order to, I think, recapture the magic of living in tune with the rhythms of the universe, again, we have to stop defying time and we have to start respecting time.
What does that mean to you guys, respecting time?
Quick interruption. There's a cute little manatee down there.
That's a great way to
That
respect time. Where is he?
Awesome.
Right under the
Little
palm tree.
thing.
So for those
Oh
of
my
you
gosh.
obviously listening, you'll never see it. Those of you watching, I apologize, you can't see it.
It's too far away for us to record, but his little snout is sticking out of the water,
That's amazing.
and it's not little.
So here on the east coast of Central Florida, home to manatees.
Manatees
Manatees.
and dolphins.
And this time of year, right, they've come out of the hot springs, right?
Yes.
They've come back in, they're coming through the river. As the water warms up, eventually they'll head out to the ocean.
And I think this manatee is living in harmony with his or her time, kind of just floating and being one with the shore.
I will gladly say that our proud. I don't know how I'm going to say this, but I want to be that manatee right now. Be in the river and be wasting time with the manatee.
That's good. But there's a natural rhythm.
There's a
Yeah.
natural. Yeah,
There is.
absolutely.
And so how we do that, I think of breathing. I think of breathing as a natural rhythm. And in my history of, training on mindfulness-based stress reduction, when I think about the concept of time and living in harmony with time and what that looks like practically, I think of one of the main things that we can feel that we actually can not really control but pay attention to at all times,
The
and that's
rise and fall of the chest. and
Exactly.
the feeling of the coolness when it goes in,
from
and the
your
heat
nose
when it comes out.
right.
Yeah.
And so sometimes even we can recognize when our breathing is shallow, right? Our body lets us know right away. Maybe if our heart is racing. And again, for the listeners and viewers out there, it's not just folks that have anxiety. It's for people that just experience a lack of harmony with time. And so I just think of, even if you just take a physical step back from what you're doing, and you put one hand over your chest and you sit somewhere and you feel what it is to breathe in and what it is to breathe out.
Yeah.
I think that is respecting time. That's respecting time's natural rhythms, even if it's just for a few minutes every day.
I just did it and I zoned out. I was staring at the palm tree
That's
and
good.
doing what you were saying, and it just kind of was like, just
Wow.
everything just went a little blurry, but I could still see the palm fronds swaying in the wind.
One of the things I was reminded of when you said respecting time, it reminded me time is a non-renewable resource,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
That we cannot get it back
Right.
when it's gone. And
So true.
like as I'm a man of faith, right? I believe that God has me here from the time I was born to a set time that I will leave this earth
Yeah.
and go to heaven, right? And so even there, not just in the micro, but in the macro sense,
Right.
I have a number of hours and days to be here on this earth, and to respect that
Exactly.
and make the most of it.
It's very beautifully said.
Yeah, I think we can all take a page or two out of Trevor's book.
Yeah, right.
And when and that brings me to my next point, which is the bigger picture, the greater purpose. Like what, we create our own realities. We do. We're in charge of it. And I think it's mostly a combination of what we make of it and what our higher power says that we're here for.
Yeah.
But we have to be in harmony with that too. Otherwise, we're going to feel an imbalance, right?
Right.
So it's that we get to shape our day and time according to our morals and values and the things that we love and hold near and dear to our heart. So if we don't, that imbalance, I think, causes pain. And that pain moves us backward from where we want to be. So
That's good. In fact, there's a quote. What is it? If you don't plan your day will plan you.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Right?
And even if you do plan your day, things are going to come in that may interject and say, no, sorry, plot twist. But that's okay. If you have respect with time or for time, you're going to figure out a way around that. And it's not going to it's not going to be a big deal for you per se if something interrupts what you had planned.
That's good.
And so Erica Spiegelman says, if your life goal is to write novels, but you can't find even 10 minutes in your day to devote to your dream, then you're going to end up with a problem with time management.
Sure.
Which is another tool that I want to share with you guys that will, I think, help everyone listening on how to, be in harmony with time. Time management is one of the many tools. And so what that looks like, I think, is time tracking tools, which we will provide actually to you for free. We're going to link it to our video, our podcast today. Time tracking tools and time management tools that will help you manage your time better and help you live your dreams, which you can find on our YouTube page, our YouTube channel, LiveWell Coaching. Also, you can visit our website, which is www.livewell-coaching.com, and we will have that for you. And so I'll just sort of end with this. Just what do you guys want to leave our listeners and viewers with?
I really liked the quote at the beginning of that. But also, are you want me to read it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Alona read this to me last night, and I was like moved, very moved. Until you value yourself, you won't value your time. Until you value your time, you will not do anything with it. And that is by M. Scott Peck. Mm-hmm. And I just find that it's so simple. It's if you don't care about you, you're not going to care about anything that you do, or whatever is worth doing or finding the time for. And then you're not going to respect time or anything that comes along with it. I don't know. It's just a very simple few sentences, but I loved it.
And Megan, you and I talked last night about the time bank and what time management looks like. Do you want to? Cha-ching. Do you want to start?
I don't really.
We have our own sound effects.
I mean, a time. You just said it a few minutes ago. We can't get time back. So it's an interesting concept to have a time bank. You create your own budget, basically.
Right, exactly.
Like you learn how many hours you have in a day, how many hours are in a week, how many hours are in a month or whatever. And you budget out your time accordingly, just like you would with your money.
Exactly.
And it creates a little bit more stability in one's life to do the things that they want to do, and gives them, it empowers people to be better with time management and offering their time to others and being more available to themselves.
That's right.
So having a time bank, I think, is a very good idea. It's just like having a money budget. It's a very valuable tool.
Yeah. In fact, I remember doing an exercise similar to you do with your finances, but with time, which is, so take the finance side. If you had extra money, what would you spend it on?
Yeah, that too.
Right? And so the idea of if you had extra time, what would you do with it? Right? If you had that list in your head, and again, we know there's no such thing as extra time, but if you set aside or dedicate time, or you've managed that time well.
Or you have your little fund.
Right. Yeah, you've got a time bank.
Right.
What would you do with it?
It's so, I don't know about you guys, but that is empowering to hear, because when we live around the concept of there are not enough hours in the day, that's perspective, right?
Right.
That's all perspective. If we kind of modify that to a time spending plan, like what you guys are talking about, and so even writing it down, like I mean an actual physical time spending plan where everybody starts with 24 hours in a day. Maybe you allocate 8 hours to sleep.
And you have your fixed times, and then your flexible times.
That's
like you have fixed spending and flexible spending.
And so one of the examples that Erica Spiegelman writes in her chapter is there are 52 hours of sleep each week, 168 hours per week total. So you have 86 remaining, or I'm sorry, then you have 30 hours of work on average. Like, I mean, it's probably more like 40 or 60 for some of us that are not living in harmony with time. Then for that
Listen
person,
to what we say.
we're left with 86 remaining hours so per week. And then so it's like you said, Trevor, it's writing down. Now you get to think about how will you spend that. Isn't it exciting and empowering?
Yes.
And we can make a list of all the pleasurable and nourishing and fulfilling activities that match our morals, goals, and values.
Right.
And that, I think, is how we start living in harmony with time.
So I think one of the things that we could do is to allocate some of that extra time to practicing time management and learning how to respect time more with our listeners and viewers.
That's right.
We're all learning and growing.
We
It's true.
are. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Gonna wrap this up.
yeah.
Not that we're looking at the
TikTok,
watch.
TikTok.
I don't know, but we're.
And so for those of you that are listening or viewing and you feel like you can use some extra help managing your time, or maybe even trying to find harmony with time and combating depression and anxiety and even the stressors of the natural world, we have coaches and resources that would be happy to help you here at LiveWell Behavioral Health through our LiveWell coaching app. And you can find more information about that on our website at www.livewell-coaching.com. You can also call right into our office here at 321-259-1662, and we will have someone get in contact with you within 24 hours. So please use your local resources. Even if you're not local, you can use our resources. We're excited to help you find balance and harmony with time. So thanks so much for watching and listening, and thanks to my peers. It's been a great one.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Have a great day.
Look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yes. Bye.